So of course, when it came to the first Amazing Spider-Man film, the villain was the Lizard. This was something that they wanted to get in a Spider-Man film ever since the early days from Spider-Man 1 onwards. Now we have a very cool rejected design that ultimately I'm glad they didn't go with, but you can kind of see what they wanted to do from the start. So I've noticed in hindsight, looking back at The Amazing Spider-Man 1, a lot of people actually enjoy that movie now in retrospect to what we got with TASM 2, and even some people that just hate everything about MCU Spider-Man, and of course, that's fine. That's cool. I'm here to talk about some other stuff from TASM 1, and this time we're going to talk about some brand new stuff that hit the internet recently in relation to that film's villain, who of course was the Lizard, who Sony tried to get into a movie ever since the first Sam Raimi Spider-Man. So this brand new concept art that hit the internet shows us the Lizard looking completely different than even what we ended up getting in that film. And this was one of the early passes that they took on it. And of course, I've talked about it before as I talked to a conceptual artist. One thing that they kind of mandated over at Sony was not to do a snout. They wanted a more humanoid looking lizard reptilian figure, and you look at this, you're like, you know what? This is legit probably what they exactly described that they wanted, and then ultimately they ended up refining this into what we ended up getting. And like the Rhino, which I talked about recently, I don't like this one as much. I actually like the version we got way more, because it just, I don't know, this one looked weird. It just didn't look like the Lizard. Like, you can definitely tell that this eventually got reworked into what we got, but the version we got still looks like something that kind of makes sense in motion. And if you go back and watch that movie, yes, the CG's a little wonky here or there, but it still looks really good, and the design looks great. They take what works from the Lizard from the comics and the cartoons and transition it over, besides the snout, and I think it worked. The version that they were conceptually, going for first that we just saw here didn't look as solid to me. Like, I understand the foundation of what they were going for, but it just doesn't feel like the thing that should have been it, which ultimately I'm glad it was. Now, it's still my hope someday we're going to see the Lizard done with the snout, the proper way. Hopefully somebody will give it to us, whether it's Marvel Studios or Sony's reattempt with Sinister Six or Venom verse or whatever they're gonna do. But yeah, I think the TASM 1 version was pretty solid, all things considered. Probably the best they could do at the time, with the limitations of Avi Arad giving them a mandate like no snout.